Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Oh, hello, hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I got your email. Thank you. Hello, hello.
Okay, how is everybody?
Let me see something here.
You have to unmute them.
Yeah, I know that. How do I forget how to do that? Apps, host. Oh, enable, unmute themselves. Okay, got it. Okay. Ask to unmute, ask to unmute, ask to unmute. Yeah, I got unmute themselves. I got it checked.
Good evening. This is Desiree.
Hey, Desiree, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Where's your sister?
My cousin is in. That's Tuesday. I'm waiting for both my sisters to come in. They're trying to get in,
All right,
switching from WhatsApp to Zoom. So,
all right. We'll give him a minute.
okay, great.
I was just finishing up some last stuff anyway. So how's everyone doing today?
I'm well.
All right. Hold up. Who else is here? We're getting a few people. All right. So Brian, will get with me. See, it's 7 o'clock. I don't know if you want to start off just introducing yourself, or I did get this out to a lot of people. So if you, I don't know if you want to give them another 5 minutes, 3 minutes or so, then we could start. Who's the Zoom user? Alexa Zoom. Let me see. Ask to unmute. Okay. Did someone leave?
Looks like it.
All right, that's fine. We are not able to unintelligible us. Hold on. They're not able to. Oh, that was you, Desiree. So you wasn't able to unmute.
Yes, but I mean, you fixed it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just double check. Yep. Start video. Okay. All right. Cool. Brian, you can hear us, right?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. And we have Kevin. Oh, well, it was Kevin. That was my friend Kevin, but I hope he gets back on. And we have Miss Tuesday Fredericks. Can you hear us, Miss Fredericks? Can you hear it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. All right. And I have a Mr. Armando Figueroa. Can you hear us, Mr. Figueroa? Before we get started? I'm asking Mr. Figueroa to mute himself. Let us know if he can hear us or not. If he doesn't, I'm gonna assume that you can hear us, and we're gonna move forward. Hello, Mr. Figueroa? All right, and then we have a Zoom user. I don't know who the Zoom user is, but I'm asking you to unmute yourself. Other than that, Brian, oh, hello?
Hello. This is Henry. I was invited by Mr. Kevin Dixon.
Oh, okay, Mr. Henry. Yes. You're the person that He said you and your, I believe you and your wife have issues with the back taxes.
No, I don't have any issues with back taxes.
Okay. Well, it's from Kevin. All right, and Kevin must have been telling a few people. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for joining in.
No problem.
All right, and then we have Mr. Armando. Can you unmute yourself, please? I want to make sure you're able to hear us. If not, I already sent you a message. And I guess everybody else can hear us, Desiree, Tuesday, and Mr. Henry. All right,
Who fell off?
you fell off. Hopefully they get back on. All right, well, Miss Desiree, that's the signing. She was the one that helped me out. I'm gonna blame Miss Desiree because she's the one that threw that last minute signing on me on Tuesday night, on Monday night. But she turned out a very good source. She's excited. Her sister lives in Tampa, and she's the that wants to get going. You ready to start?
Yes, anytime you want.
All right, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Hey, okay, we got Mr. Mendel back on. All right. Well, hey, I just want to say good evening. Thank you for Nathaniel Dixon. Okay. We got more people coming on. All right. Well, anyway, I just want to just good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Bert Gibbs Jr. I'm located in Lexington, South Carolina. I'm an Air Force veteran, and I'm a notary with a nationwide signing service. So I travel throughout the whole state of South Carolina, notarizing documents for the mortgage industry. By myself, I'm I'm a common person just like you. I had some issues with back taxes, and I receive a dismissal from the tax court. And this is what the call is about: how you could benefit, go over the laws, and tell you, what is what, and again, how you benefit by doing a petition. So I have Mr. Brian Ola, a great friend of mine over the past year, and he'll be taking it away.
Okay, hello everybody. Hope you're having a great evening. As he said, we're here to talk about taxes and how they assume that we pay or have to pay taxes. And we're going to go over the laws and show you that that is not true. So Susie flips it over to me.
Oh, you want me to share the screen? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Let me get all this down here.
No problem. Okay, there it is. Okay, this is my screen. I just jot this down a little bit today. We'll get a little bit more and more professional per se about it. But it's all about the fact is, who are you? Who do you think you are? And who do they think you are? That's the worst part. And IRS says that you are a U.S. citizen. And we'll get to that in a little bit, and I'll show you that there is no U.S. citizen per se. And I'll show you what they call the style manuals to prove that. So let's get on with it here. So we're going to go over United States codes, IRS codes, and UCC. And maybe we'll touch base on the Florida codes just to show you again how they have misclassified as from being a man and a woman to a person, which is an artificial entity. A U.S. citizen is an artificial entity. So the Constitution, this is where they think that we are U.S. citizens. It's the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says all persons. Now remember the word persons. That's key in law. Because, say again? Bert, can you mute everybody?
All right, hold on.
Okay, so what happens is you'll have to remember what person means. We'll get more into that later. But it says here, all persons born or nationalized in the United States. Okay, there's a key right there. And subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Now, United States is a corporation. If you look just below that, here's the law here stated it's U.S. Code 28-3002. Number 15 says United States means a federal corporation. It does not say it's a government. It says it's a corporation. And this is definitions. So that means this would be the definition of the word United States throughout all the laws. If they're referring to United States of America or the Union States, they will say geographically located in the United States. And that will mean the physical land. But if it does not state that, then they're referring to this corporation. So since the United States is a corporation, because if you look at this right here and this right here, it shows that, we'll highlight, it shows that it is a corporation. So it says all persons born in or nationalized in the United States corporation is what it actually says. So what happens is this, is they are tying you into United States. But United States is a corporation, and corporations cannot create people like yourself. They cannot create men and women. They can only create other corporations. So if you're claiming to be a United States or a citizen of the United States, then you are a corporation they have created with your similar name, and they have now dictated that you are their property. Now, how can you tell a corporation? An all capital name, if you look around all these businesses, especially when you look at their actual paperwork, their names is all capital letters. And all capital names signifies a corporation. If you look at your driver's license, your credit cards, any of the mail you get from any other corporation, they all state all capital letters. So it's one corporation talking to another corporation, because a corporation cannot speak to you because corporations do not have any mouths or any other body. So we'll move on a little bit further. Okay, and this is another thing about several states. The state means any of the several states. So you have to find out what several state means. This means the 50 federal states. And a federal state is a state of, like this has state of Florida or state of Maine. There are two different ones. There's Florida state and the state of. In law, the word of means without. So that's state without Florida, which is the corporation. Any other states, like state of Carolina. But Florida state is actually a physical land. See, everything has a duality in this world anymore. The artificial or the legal and the lawful, which is you and I, the legal are the corporations. And then when you start looking into it, here it says the definition of under the same United States Code 28, the word person, you can see here that it's corporations, partnerships, unincorporation, things of that nature. But they also put in there natural person. But remember, the word person. The word person, it means artificial. So the natural artificial person, which there aren't any. See, it's all word trickery. So far, they've classified you as a citizen of the United States or a U.S. citizen, and that's how you have to pay taxes, because all U.S. citizens are in Washington, D.C. And if you don't live in Washington, D.C., which technically everybody is in Washington, D.C. in a public office. That's something else down the road. Now, here's another one here, is the vessel of the United States. The term vessel of the United States, in this use of this title, means a vessel belonging in whole or in part to the United States. Any citizen is considered a vessel which is owned by the United States. These are their laws. I don't make this stuff up. I just show you the laws. All right, so the question are, United States means a federal corporation. And remember, in any type you come to a definition, it doesn't matter what the word is. If it has multiple definitions, the first one is the most correct. So it's the corporation, it's not a government. All right, this one here. Most people, if you ask you where's the United States, you say from the east, the west, the north, and south. It's the landmass, which is the 48 states plus the other two. But this is UCC 907 UCC 9-307, location of debtor. Number H, location of United States. United States is located in District of Columbia. I bet people don't know that your United States that you think is what we live in is actually in DC only. It's a corporation and it's stationed out of DC. Now think about DC by itself. Washington DC is actually a foreign country inside this continent. Meaning is it is not a state of, it's District of Columbia. It is foreign to us. And you have to think, hey, where's our government located? Oh my God, our government's located in a foreign country, as if it was in Germany or so. So here's something you may never seen before. You see this top flag right here? This is called a peace flag or a merchant flag. This flag has flown for less than 4 years since its conception at the very beginning, because we have been in a perpetual war ever since. That's this one here. I'm also a vet, and when we would go in combat, we would wear that on our right-hand sleeve. This one here is a combat vet. It's a war flag. Most people don't know that, but you can go to the military manual and you'll see it says that. So let's go down a little bit further. We're all dealing with taxes. You think taxes are mandatory. Well, this is US 31321, and it's D number 2. For the purpose of federal income tax, estate, and gift tax, property accepted in paragraph 1, if you read that, it's there, shall be considered a gift or a bequest. Did you know that all your federal income tax is a gift? And a bequest is when you die, you give it to them. And it's for the use of the United States. Now, when I read this the first time, that really made me angry, because I've had corporation before. That meant I had to go out and actually do the paperwork and everything to create it. So I'm thinking, who created the United States? Because it's a corporation. I'm not part of it, and I have no idea who else is part of it. So whoever created it, all of our federal income tax goes to United States Corporation, which have no idea who owns the corporation. Again, right there reaffirms that fact that it's a corporation. So, and gifts are not mandatory. So if gifts aren't mandatory, then taxes are not mandatory. All right, here, I want to show you that there's actually 2 United States. They show us the truth. We just have to find it. This is an unsworn declaration under the penalty of perjury. As you can see here, it's executed without the United States. Well, what do you mean without the United States? But then it says that you, under the perjury penalty, a penalty of perjury, under the laws of the United States of America. Now, see, this is pretty key right here, because when we go down to this one, it says within the United States. It says that territory. There is no United States of America laws. There's actually 2 physical different United States here. So again, they don't lie to us. They just don't tell us where to find all this. Okay. Now, how do we get in this mess? Well, we get in this mess by the first time we did a 1040. And as soon as we did the 1040 the first time, that's a contract. We went into it. We did it voluntarily because we were told we had to. But we don't read. The W-4, the W-2, the 1099s under IRS codes, it states that they are gifting forms. Well, how do you owe taxes on gifting form? See, but you don't know this, so then we just assume we take our W-2 and put it on this 1040, which is a wage form. So we actually broke the law by doing that. They know we do this, and they don't care as long as we're doing it. That's the whole thing. Now, as I told you earlier about the U.S. citizen, there is no such thing as a U.S. citizen as a nationality. Let's take China, for example. If you were born in the north part of China, you're a Chinese all the way to the south part, and east and west, the whole continent. If you go to India, it's the same way. If you go to Europe, there's a whole bunch of little squiggly lines, and in between those squiggly lines are countries. And each of those countries have a name for their nationality of people, because only countries can name the nationality of their people. So the interesting thing is when we come to the United States, we have those same squiggly lines. So let's go down and look and see what that says. This is out of GPO style manual. This is from the government publishing. Okay. It says nationality. When you look at the nationalities, here's all the nationalities of everybody in the United States. Do you see anywhere in here it says citizen or U.S. citizen? Nowhere in here does it say that. There is no such thing as a U.S. citizen or a citizen of the United States, according to the government style manual. And the style manual is for language. And the thing about the language is whatever they say it is, that's the law of the language. So this right here will show you that there is no such thing as a U.S. citizen. And you can see when you look at it, you can see all the different ones. I'm originally from Indiana, so I'm an Indiana. Huh. Oh, I must have lost that one. I'll put that back in there. Okay, so I live in Florida. Oh, well, you don't. Florida's not there either. Oh, there it is. Floridian. I'm a Floridian down here. Oh, there it is. I'm a Hoosier. Actually, I'm in Indiana. The Hoosier is a nickname for us, sort of like Ohioans or Buckeyes. It's a nickname. So this is how they get us. They get us by voluntarily giving in, doing a 1040, and then we're locked in because we voluntarily did it. The 16th Amendment that they created back in 1916, I believe it was, it did not give them any extra power to tax anything. So they do not have the right to tax the people. They only have the right to tax themselves. So when we do this, there's a couple things we have to do. What we do first is do the petition. Bert will show you his petition here in a little bit to see what it's going to look like when you get it back. So what we do is we go to United States Tax Court, we do the form, and as soon as you get the form back and everything from that, it's going to say the Internal Revenue has no jurisdiction. So whatever they claim that you owed, you don't owe it anymore. Because if you don't have jurisdiction in the first place, there's no way they can ever get it off of you. Plus, after you do that, the next thing to do is the revocation of election. Revocation of election is documentation we send off to certain people in the government that you're going to say that you're not going to do this anymore. But there's certain ones you have to send it to for them to understand it. All right, then the next thing you actually need to change your political status because they have you as a U.S. citizen. But you don't want to be a U.S. citizen. You want to be one of these guys. This is what you were born. When you were first born, you were whatever state you're in. That's what you were. At the age of 18, they state that if you do not tell Secretary of State in an affidavit that you want to be a national and not a citizen of the United States, you convert over to being a U.S. citizen. I bet no one's ever heard of that either, but that's in the United States immigration. So you want to go back to your original nationality. So you want to become a national, or they call them national citizen, or sometimes they call them state citizen. And when you do that and you opt out, you'll never ever do another 1040. And then the thing is here, I'll show you how you, if you work for somebody, you want to use a W-4. Some people are literally using a W-4V, but the W-4 is just as fine. And they tell you how to do it because nobody ever reads it. This is a W-4. This is the second page. And this is a, oh. Sorry, guys, I lost a little section of it. Huh. Sorry, I'll have to fix that. But what it is when you read this section right here, this section right here, right in here, when you read that, what it states is an exemption. If federal taxes were mandatory, there would be never an exemption for no one. But they show you right here in this section right here on the second page of W4, it says to write exempt, and it goes right back up here. It tells you to write it right here, the 4C on this line, you physically write exempt. And your employer will not take any taxes out of you. That was a style manual showing all the names and everything. So I'm just putting this together. And I'll let everybody have this once I get this done. And here are, you go to YouTube, and there are just 4 of them from the commissioners and the directors of IRS stating that you do not have to pay. It's all voluntary. There's 4 different ones from about 10 different people. So they don't lie to us. They just don't tell us the truth. So we have to find it. And then once we find it, we get our freedom from these guys. So with that, if there's any questions, unmute yourself, and can they unmute themselves? You can unmute yourself and ask a question if you like.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, this is Kevin again. Hey, I don't know if my brother-in-law is on or not, but how does this work if you're a 1099 employee?
Same. It's a gifting form. Actually, 1099 is even better, because once you get your form and you did all your paperwork, you just throw your form away. Because the fact is you don't have a return coming back. See, if people don't read, it's a 1040 tax return. It's actually return. Okay. So the only time you're supposed to do a 1040 is if you have a return. Now, the other thing is they say failure to file. Well, when you read the law, the tax laws, there's 2 sections. It's under the United States 26, which is administrative, and United States 27, that is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And it's required by law for them to file a 1040. But as far as you go, you're under A, administrative. There's nothing in there saying failure to file. So if you're 1099, that's even better. Like I said, once you do this, you don't even have to worry about it. Just throw them away.
Okay, so 1099 employee will do I guess I forget what it's called, the opt out, I guess, basically first, and then what do they still they do a 10 of W4V, or how?
No, you don't have to. If you're 1099, you don't have to do anything, because they're not taking taxes out of you.
Oh,
So 1099 doesn't take taxes out of you. They leave it up to you to take taxes out.
so somebody can, even if you're a 1099, you can still do, is it still applicable to them?
No, not really, because the 104, the W4 and the W4V, both of those are to take and tell your employer to stop taking taxes on you. If you're a 1099, you're considered a subcontractor, independent provider, and your person that you're working for does not take any taxes out of you. That's up to you to file taxes.
So this wouldn't really apply to somebody that's working having 1099.
What do you mean?
Like they can't, this whole thing that we're talking about, they don't need to file an opt out. I guess they just.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they have to opt out and everything first,
Okay, first. Okay.
because that 1099 is going to go to IRS.
Uh-huh.
But right now, IRS has you as one of their employees, slaves, so you will have to pay on that money, that 1099. But once you do all the petition, the revocation, and change your status, then what that does is going to take you out of the system 100%. So it doesn't make a difference. See, once you change that, your status in IRS is going to turn to a non-resident alien. And when you look up non-resident alien in the tax law, you'll find that the non-resident alien is tax exempt unless he has income from sources from the US. Remember, United States, right? So you remember, what is United States? It's a corporation. So they're talking about if you have any income effectively connected with the corporation called United States, you have to pay taxes on that money. But if you're here in Florida or Texas or anywhere else, there's no taxes on it.
Got it. And question. Oh, yeah, we spoke. I remember you spoke something about the trust, the last segment. Could you go over that again?
The trust. Okay. If you're going to do a business, they have us brainwashed to get a LLC or an Inc. Corp or a manufacturer or something like that, or an S Corp or a 508 or 509, whatever, right? All the crap that they have. So the thing is that's their creation. And once you take your business and go get one of their so-called entities, you just surrendered your business over to them. And to prove that, can they not come in and tell you what to do in your business once you have filed and got your paperwork? They can come in and tell you that you can't do certain things. And that's it. You're done. Because it's not your business anymore. And here's the other thing. If you don't keep up with your yearly renewal of it, right? Well, they just shut you off, don't they?
Right.
So I thought it was your business. How can they shut you off if it's your business? Here's that one about the class 5. This is what we're going to do. See right here, the estate and gift tax, right? It's a 5. So when we go down to this here and look at these different ones, a W-2, class 5. You see all the W's, all class 5s. A W-4, the one that you filled out first time, it's a gifting form. From the right off the very beginning, you don't know that employee withholding certificate, the W-4. You don't know it is not a gifting form. And then if you go down further, here's all your 1099s. All gifting forms. And when you're supposed to use I think it's a 607 or 609 form if you want to stay in their realm. And then there's other things you have to do, and you have to know exactly where to put it on the 1040. You don't put it under wages. There's another section that down below that you put it on. Did that help you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And this form here, this is the IRS publication 6209. Publication 6209. And you can find all this stuff here. And they tell us everything. They do. But they just don't tell us the truth. First of all, think of it this way. All these laws get their authority from the Constitution. And the Constitution is the law of the land. And we make all of our public servants, from the president to the dog catcher, to take an oath to this document. And they're held to this document 100%. If they violate their oath, it's a fine up to $250,000 and 4 years in prison. They take it serious. Now the question is, here's the question. Did you take an oath to the Constitution to be bound by that Constitution? Wait a minute. You're one of the people who wrote the Constitution to make sure the government does not bend us over anytime they want. because that's what the Constitution for, is to protect us against them. So all their laws, IRS, statute codes, ordinance, all these things only apply to them. But how did the IRS get you in the first time? You consented. There's the key. Consent is how they get you to fall in line. Never give your employees consent, because everybody is working for the government are public servants. That means they serve you.
Got it.
But if you
Okay.
don't assert it, then they just walk right over top of you.
And a question on the so once we opt out and we become a non-resident alien, so how will that affect us? Say we have a passport and we're traveling back and forth, will that affect us like for travel?
No. Yes, no, and yes. Okay. As soon as I got mine, I got pulled over by one of those cameras on a pole.
Oh.
They pulled me over saying my tag didn't go with my van, which that was a lie. So when he walked up to me, I just handed my passport. He goes, you got a driver's license? I said, no. And he was looking. I said, you want the other stuff? He goes, no, let me go check this out. He went back. He came back a couple minutes later. He has a little machine for giving out a ticket. And here in Florida, they got the little window that you put your thumb in. And the law says the thumbprint must be on the ticket. Must be. So when he walked up, he just tore off the ticket, handed back my passport and the ticket. I said, okay, and I took off. And when I went to court, I went to 3 different courts. On the 3rd court, the judge says, well, the law, and I said, stop. He stopped. I said, dismiss it. He said, dismissed. Because the driver's license is a contract with them, as if you contract with somebody working. You can be an hourly employee, but you still have a verbal contract. Otherwise, they say, we're going to pay you this amount of money per hour, and you have to work this many hours a week. That's a contract. Or if you do a 1099, it's a contract. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So the key is consent. You never want to give consent to these guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is Armando. I was just listening to what my brother Kevin just said. Can you hear me?
Yes, say that again.
Yeah, this is Armando. I was just listening to what my brother-in-law Kevin just asked you the question about 1099. So
Correct.
I want to get this straight. Since I work on 1099, that means I don't have to fill out this form, this opt-out form, this W-4.
No, because they're not taking taxes on you.
Correct or not?
Okay, you're responsible for filing your own taxes. Now, once you opt out, you do the petition and then do revocation, then you're not under their rule anymore, so you don't have to do anything.
So I still need to file that W-4 then, or W-4B. Is that correct?
No.
No?
Okay, tell me this. Is your employer taking taxes on you?
No, they're not.
Well, then why would you do a W-4? Because that's a tax withholding.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned something, do the first steps first before we file taxes. And that's where I'm getting confused versus a 1099 and a 1040.
Nope. Let's go first. Let me go real quick. First thing you do is do the petition. Your petition is to the tax court. They're going to go from today to the very first time you did your taxes. Whatever it is, 20, 30, 40 years, it doesn't make a difference. You put it on the form. So it's all covered. So basically, when you get that back from the tax court, it's going to say Internal Revenue Commissioner has no jurisdiction. You'll see that in a little bit here. If they have no jurisdiction, then if you had problems in the past, well, they're gone because they have no jurisdiction. So then what you do is a revocation, which is today forward forever. This is where you're opting out of it because when you did your first 1040, you opt in. Now
Mhm.
you opt out, and that's a revocation election to opt out. And then if you're getting a 1099, you don't have to do anything. You just file it in file 13. You know what file 13 is?
No, I don't.
It's a trash can.
No. Okay.
It's file 13. It's a trash can. Because number one, you don't fill out a 1040 because that is a return.
Correct.
Well, if you have nothing returning to you, why would you file?
Okay, so basically, so for this, so for 2024, I shouldn't file tax. I need to file, don't I?
So.
Now say that again.
For the year 2024, okay? For my 1099, I need to file taxes. Isn't that correct? Even though I haven't done my taxes yet, but
So you want to pay taxes?
oh no, absolutely not.
Well, then once you do your petition,
Petition. Okay, that's a key word. Okay.
the petition, that's going to the United States Tax Court.
Okay.
And when you go to the United States Tax Court, it's going to go through and you're going to get a letter back stating that there's two, this is confusing for people. You've heard of IRS, but you've not heard of Internal Revenue. See, Internal Revenue is the main guy in the government. They're the ones that determine your taxes. IRS is a collection agency that works for Internal Revenue.
Oh, okay.
All right, it's not a government agency. It's a privately owned corporation out of Puerto Rico who works for Internal Revenue. Now, if Internal Revenue had no authority to ask anything from you, then IRS has no authority to collect anything from you.
Okay.
So it's all twisted.
And confusing.
Yes, they do that on purpose because the average person says, "Oh crap, this is too difficult."
Okay.
But don't worry about it. Come back here as many times as you want to before you have to understand this and feel warm and fuzzy before you do it, because this way your positive attitude is going to make you win.
Right.
You don't be scared of your employees. IRS works for the government, don't they?
Correct.
Well, the government is a public servant, aren't they?
Correct.
That would mean that you're the boss, aren't you?
Yeah.
So why are we shivering when IRS says something?
Well, that's where they portray. That's where the whole world's scared of them because they portray to be something bigger than us.
We don't know.
That's true, but that's only because people don't. All this information you got, you can stand there and fight them and beat them to death on this. Actually, if you had to go to IRS for an audit or whatever, the first thing you do is when you walk in there, you say, "Hey, let me see your pocket commissions." They have a pocket commission, and on the commission, that one has a big A, and one has an E on it, a big E. The A
Okay.
is administrative, and the E is enforcement. And administrator is where the 1040 goes, as far as the individual, what they call individual, which is a taxpayer, which is an artificial entity. Enforcement is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Okay.
So if they say you did not file, well, you don't do alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So there is no enforcement. And there is no enforcement on individual side, the 26 side. United States Code 26, which is IRS codes for the individual. There's no enforcement side on that. There's just an
Okay.
enforcement side on alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Okay.
And see, and here's the kicker. It's hidden when you're reading 26, as you're reading it, it goes right into 27 and it doesn't tell you it's going into 27.
Okay,
It's kind of deceptive, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Brian. Now you talking about the USC codes 26 and 27?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear.
The IRS codes.
And that's you say US codes, right?
The United States code.
Yes, okay.
Okay, let me give you an example of what code is. You know what code is? It's a secret. Do we
Correct.
have codes in the military during the wartime? That's a secret. You know what attorneys are? They're code breakers.
Hmm.
Because when you read the law, because you think you're a person. Okay? But once you read the law and understand it, you're not a person because you're a man. And do you know that's even in the Bible that says never to be a person? They knew that
Interesting.
2,000
Okay.
years ago. Pardon?
That's interesting, yes.
Yeah, look at it. Look it up. There's no need for me to lie to you. I want to be fully transparent. I'll be more transparent to you than anything ever seen.
Okay.
But look it up. In it, it says, do not be a person because a person is their crap, meaning legal.
Okay.
See, there's a
So,
word called legal and a word called lawful. Most people say they're the same thing, but they're night and day. Because legal applies to corporations, artificial entities,
mhm.
like on your driver's license. If you got your driver's license, pull your driver's license and look at it. At the top is the artificial name, the all capital name, which is the driver's license issued to the all capital name.
Okay,
And if you look down at the bottom, that's where you signed.
correct.
It's called hierarchy. Whatever's first is priority over what comes second, and third, and fourth, and fifth. So they even got a law under UCC that says that UCC 3-402 that says you are an agent of the principal, which is the all capital name, and you take on no liabilities.
Okay,
So whenever you fill out any paperwork for the government, you should write on there UCC 3-402 1B. You can look it up and see it. You'll see where it says the principal, which is the all capital name, and you take on no liabilities. And that's law. So why would they put that in there for? To protect them. Because remember, the guys who write the law are the criminals.
okay.
What was that? What was that again, Brian? UCC?
UCC 3-402 1B. I write that on my credit cards. So if one day I don't have to, if I don't stop paying my credit cards, if I had to go to court, I would say, well, show me one, just one of the receipts that I signed, and it would say UCC 3-402 1B. And that would say, Judge, I'm only an agent for the principal. I don't take any liabilities. And here's, and to make that, to show you that's true, you guys got a checking account? If you do,
Yes.
look at the line that you sign. At the end of that line, it has an MP, which means micro print. And then if you take your camera, take a picture of it, and then blow it up, it says authorized representative. And if you look in the top left-hand corner, your name's up on top, but it's all capital. Because you don't own it. That man or woman that's on this here call tonight, you do not own that account. The all capital name does, because when you get your statements, it's all capital name. They own the account, or it owns your account, and you're just an agent. Isn't that a kick in the head?
Wow.
See, there's two worlds. There's the world of the living, you and I, and the world of the dead, which is artificial. Has anybody been to the graveyard? Look at the tombstones. They're all capital.
Wow, that is interesting. That is very interesting.
It's really kind of sad
Yeah.
how they pull the wool over yours and my eyes. And yet we pay these people or creatures, pay them to protect us.
That is true.
Mhm.
That is
That's the
true.
scary part.
Okay. So my next question is, okay, not to beat a dead horse. What are the steps? So where do they get this petition from to send to the tax court, United States Tax Court?
Bert has it.
I'm sorry, what was it again?
Bert has it.
Yeah, I'll have to put you in touch with Bert, Mondo.
Okay. Bert, pull up your
Give me a minute.
Court.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Okay. Pull up your letter from the court. He's now going to show you what the letter looks like from the court. You see
Everyone
United
see it?
States Tax Court? Bert, explain that to him.
Well, this is the order dismissal that I received in the tax court in May of 2024. As you notice, says what tax court in Washington, D.C., my name in caps versus the Commission of Internal Revenue. Here's my docket number. You receive the same docket number. Everyone receives the same one. But as you notice, it says order of dismissal for lack of jurisdiction. One thing I learned out of this, and me and Brian say again, the IRS does not have jurisdiction on you. And the reason why, because the United States is located in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is separate from us, from the 50 Union States. As you read it, I use the tax codes against them, the same tax code, 6213 and 6212. And I went back 22 years. I should have went back further. But you're going to go back from the day that you started working. And obviously you see it signed by the chief judge in May of 2024. And since then, I haven't heard from the IRS since.
Okay.
No
So
more,
you don't,
no
so
more
you don't
levy.
have
Oh, go ahead,
tax-
Kevin.
oh, you didn't have, so you're not paying taxes anymore from this point on.
Well, no, I'm not paying any taxes. I wasn't really paying taxes anyway, because here in South Carolina, veterans don't have to pay taxes. I was dealing with the back taxes since I was in New York,
Right.
When I moved down here, and then boom, the letters started following me. When I filed my taxes, the letters started following me. I started getting the letters down here, and I said, "Oh no!" So it was 18,000 from, I don't know, from 2011 until like 2019, like 9 years. I accumulated over $18,000 in back taxes.
Mm.
Yeah, mine, when I did mine, they said I hadn't paid in years, something like 15 years. I hadn't filed in 15 years, and I owed them tens of thousands of dollars.
Now I'm looking to do the same thing, Kevin. I want to do a revelation of election and get out, moving forward. So I don't have to deal with the IRS ever again.
Okay. So from that point, once you file, you won't have to pay taxes, period, anymore.
I don't have to pay yet. I don't have to pay the back taxes. That's gone.
And revocation is from this point forward.
Yes.
Oh, and so another question, Brian. So that the UCC 3-4021B, when you're signing that, should you wait to sign that your paperwork after you do the revocation, or can you do that now, or should you just wait until you get everything in place?
Well, I like my credit cards and everything else, right? I put that on there. Anything dealing with the government or anything else like that, I put that on there.
So you don't have to wait till you do the revocation.
No, that you're talking two different things. Okay, meaning is your revocation of election, okay, is from this point forward, right? It takes you out of the tax code system totally forever. So they'll never have any say so over you. And the reason why we do that, once you get that done and you do your political status change, then we go back and all the money that they kept from you, you're entitled back. So for example, if you were paying $3,000 a year in taxes, gross federal income tax, and out of that 3,000, you got 1,000, they kept 2,000. Well, you're entitled to that $2,000 back, but you have to get these three things in a row. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because some people, you can change your status at any time, but you have to get your get out of jail free card as well as your revocation done. Because it doesn't do you any good to get to tell you that internal revenue has no jurisdiction over you from this point back, because as soon as you do it, they're going to start looking at you from now on, from this point forward.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do the things because that's what they're required by law to do. If they don't do them, they lose their jurisdiction. So that's the reason why we do the revocation from this point forward, and we just tell them to go pack sand,
Kick rocks.
pick rocks.
Brian, I get a question about veterans. That if they change, they're getting retired, get retirement payment monthly. If they change their political status, would that affect their retirement?
Okay, you have to look at it and you'll see. Okay, hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'll show you something. This is hilarious. Okay. So give me a moment. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you what they did to me. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Kevin, you had your brother-in-law Henry on here?
Oh, Mondo. But my friend Henry's a friend of mine, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
Harry Price. He had to hop off.
oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's coming back on or anything like that. Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm coming back.
no. What is that? Someone asked, what is that UCC code? That's UCC, if you want to put it in the chat.
It's in the chat.
41402B1.
It's UCC 3-402. Now I'm going to show you something. This is my last what do you call it? Disability check for the military.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they took I helped out the Ukraine because the last administration was sending all this money over, so they helped themselves to my money too. So can you see that?
Yeah.
How much is it?
33 cents.
So I gave a whole bunch to Ukraine from the last administration. So that was my first of the year pay for my disability. It's really short. Really short. So and the next month was back up, but for some reason that was what it is. But all right, what we were saying.
I get veterans like myself, Kevin, that was retired, changing your political status
Does nothing.
does nothing.
Because I'm going to show you why. That's what I got this for. What's that name right there?
Brian Viola,
How's it written?
caps.
Absolutely.
When you become a national, your name is upper and lower. That's what you are. You are already an upper and lower.
Mhm.
Your pension is going to this all capital name. So is your Social Security and everything else. None of that stuff with me because I'm a national and not a citizen of the United States. I'll be right back again.
Can you repeat what's the order that things have to be done in? You have to
Do the
first file a
file a petition
tax petition.
to the tax court in Washington, DC. I've done that. I didn't do the other two steps yet. I'm be doing the revocation of elections, and I'll be doing that shortly. And then become a nationalist because yeah, I don't want to deal by their rules anymore. Just the main thing. I just like I said. Hold on. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, this is when you change your political status, your passport's going to look it's the same, but when they run the barcode, it's different. This is a passport card. They used to put national instead of U.S. citizen, but they put U.S. citizen. But now what they're doing is if you look right here underneath my finger, can you see it?
Yes.
There's 5 little stars. And
Mhm.
the 5 stars, most people get 1 to 3 stars, and that shows that you're a U.S. citizen. 1 is you're not really a good person for them. You're a combatant. And 3, you're a non-combatant. And 4 has limited, you got limited type of freedom. But 5 is where it's supposed to put you on a do not detain, do not interrogate list. Otherwise, when he gave me the ticket, it must have your thumbprint on it. Must is what the law says. This guy was a corporal, so he's been on the police force for a long time. So he's wrote many tickets, right? And yet he did not have me put my thumbprint on it. So he voided the ticket out right there. Okay, any other questions?
I like the Brian. I like this. I like your presentation with the email we went over. It makes everything a lot simpler. Well, I had it already, but you put it together in one. That was really nice.
Yeah, I'll fix it up a little bit better. And actually, I want to start a website again, and I'll put all this stuff on there, so you guys can also go there and look. Because I want you to understand this 100%. So if there's any questions, by all means, ask, and I'll get you the answer. I'll get you the law that says this. And we were talking the other night about different things. There is actually a law out there that says to take your birth certificate if you're in trouble in court, and you can use your birth certificate to offset the cost of court.
Mm.
So that means if you're going into a foreclosure, you can pay it with your birth certificate, and the law tells you how to do it.
Well, where can we find that information?
It depends. Are you in that trouble right now?
No, actually, no.
Well, if you're not in that trouble right now, we'll save it for down the road because I don't want to. There's so much. I could show you so much. There's a law called USC 315118. And when you read that law, it says the creditor has no right to ask for the specific currency. And when you read it, what it says, they have no right to ask you for a particular United States coin or currency. The creditor cannot ask you for FRNs, Federal Reserve notes. And I just told you that law. But if you don't understand I understand that well. If you go into court, you get yourself in trouble. See, when I go in court, when the judge says, shut up or I'm gonna fine you for contempt of court, I said, well, Your Honor, are you telling me that you're going to deny me my constitutional First Amendment right to freedom of speech? Then he shuts up. But the average person doesn't know how to say that. I can show you in the law that says you're supposed to take your mortgage and promissory note, send it to the Treasury, and the Treasury will have it paid off. Your mortgage.
Wow.
Because there is no money. There is no money, so how can you pay anything? And the law, the Constitution says debts have to be paid with gold and silver. So if a judge tells you to pay anything else besides gold and silver, he just violated his oath of office. That's perjury. That's outside of his realm. But how do we do this? How do we go after the judges? Well, we go after judges through his bond. We take his bond away from him. As soon as he loses his bond, he can never get another one. He's no longer on the bench. See, there's so much out there. They tell us everything. It's just there's over 35 million laws. There's over 19,000 pages of IRS. You want to hear them all tonight?
No.
So any other questions? So just remember, this here is a place where you can come and get a lot of information on a lot of things they're doing to you.
Can you reiterate just one more time about that UCC 1-3402?
Nope.
You said to sign that on your
Nope.
checks?
No. I
No,
said
don't sign that on your check.
no. I said UCC 3
Oh,
-402.
well, I was looking in the chat at what it
Okay,
looked
yeah,
like.
I put it on
got
UC.
one in there. Sorry. I guess I could have done it.
Is that right? UCC 3-402.
Yeah, 1B. And that's what I write on my credit card. You know, when you do your credit card, you swipe your credit card and you write your name. This is what I write on that instead of my name. And I found this out from a guy. He was a lawyer and he couldn't sleep with himself anymore, so he stopped being that. So he started helping people like I do. So when he go into court, you know, he would tell the court because, you know, hey, judge, you work for me, and the judge would get pissed off and throw him in jail. So he would write on it when they would say, you know, you got a 1-year sentence, but time served and all that kind of crap, right? So they would say, you got to go do this and this and this after you get out of jail. He would write this on all the paperwork. And he doesn't ask people for money anymore because the last time they did this to him, he wrote UCC 3-4021B. And he didn't go to court. And what happened was they came out and grabbed him, arrested him, took him back in. And he goes, what? And he said, you signed off. He said, signed what? They brought it back in, threw it down in there. He pulls it out and says, what's this say right here? And they said, well, I don't know. What does it mean? He says, well, you're supposed to know this. You're the law. So they left for a half hour. They came back in and said, you're free to go. Because see, if you ever go to a court or anything, your name is all capital. But in usually the very first paragraph, it says your name all capital, AKA upper and lower. And what they're doing there is if you have 20 days to rebut that, because that's a defect, because you don't sign your name capital letters everywhere. And the all capital name didn't tell that lawyer that you're also known as upper and lower. So it's all a lie. But if you don't rebut that within the 20 days or 30 days, depending upon what you got, then it becomes truth. You're now that corporation. Terrible, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay,
And
any other questions?
yes, Ryan. So I think the last time we spoke, you said that you could assist with the trust, like say if we wanted to put our house in a trust.
Right.
Or,
So there are two different trusts, as I said before. There's one called a statutory trust, which is a legal trust, meaning created for the artificial entities. And there's the lawful one, which is protected by the Constitution, Article 110, which states that the government cannot make law to impair contract. So otherwise, anytime a judge makes a ruling, he just made case law. So he cannot make a ruling on a contract. So if you have a trust, and another thing, people get these LLCs, you can get a trust and use that as a business also, because you can get an EIN number for a trust, but it is outside the realm of IRS. Did that answer your question?
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
So
let
do
me, one more thing about the trust. You never, 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 never put an asset in a trust with a liability. For example, like you have a trust with your car and your house. If you have an accident with your car, then what they're going to tie the car to that trust, and whatever's in that trust, that lawyer can take out. So you
So
need
do-
multiple trusts.
so yeah. So do you assist with that, Brian, or show us how we can do that?
Yes, I can do that.
Oh.
And what I do is when I do my trust, I'll show you how to do it and make a 1,000 of them if you want. And the trust I have is a complex trust, meaning it has your will in it, your power attorneys, your last your physician orders, and everything else in it. And it's protected by the Constitution. Also, I put everybody's in it. Say I create the trust. I'm called the creator. Everybody in the trust, except for the beneficiaries, go on contract with me. All right. But in the trust, it tells you once it's all done and settled, I'm out of the trust then.
Brian, we got somebody in the chat saying, can you go over what you said about paying your mortgage off?
I said there's a law that's under the United States Code that it states that if you're on anything in court, if you owe something in court, your birth certificate is a bond. Now, it's a little late today, but remind me next time you come on, and what we'll do real quick, we'll go to treasuredirect.gov, one of those off the wall type of websites, and we'll go to what they call paper calculator, because the law says a credit card can be paper. That's your Social Security card. That little card you got, by law, is a credit card. So we'll go into that, put that number in there, and show how much money's in it. Otherwise, I'll start showing you how you can pull it up, and you put your Social Security number on your page, and then I'll show you how when you do that, you pull it up, and you'll see how much money's in it.
That's awesome.
I did.
Yeah.
Mine has $740 million in it.
Oh, dang. Wow.
That's why they create wars for, is because when you're born, they put upwards to $1 million in it, and then you're sold on the stock market. And have you ever heard of blue chip, white chip stock?
Yeah.
Okay, a white chip stock would be somebody who does businesses, volume, moves money and everything. A blue chip is a guy that works at McDonald's. Because I do other people, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying guy working McDonald's anything wrong. But the guy who is blue chip can have 2 to 5 times more than the guy at McDonald's. Because he's
So
worth more in the stock
it's
market.
almost like an insurance like an insurance policy. It sounds like
What's that?
what you're talking about, like they I guess it's your birth certificates and stuff is like almost like an insurance policy. So they yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm looking and thinking
It's a
about
two-part thing. You got your social security and you got your birth certificate. Your social security is SSI, Social Security Insurance, because I called them up before I got on social security and I said, is this an entitlement? And they said, yes. They said, absolutely, it's an entitlement. I said, great, great, great. How do I get all that money I paid in for this entitlement back? Because the word entitlement means I get it no matter what. Oh, they say, oh, no, 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 no. This is an insurance policy.
Yeah.
The money that you pay in is actually an insurance policy that you're buying. Okay, so the changing your political status doesn't do anything because you paid for that. You paid for your retirement. You paid for your military or whatever, disability. You paid for all that. So that they can't take it away from you. Entitlements, they can take away from you. Entitlement could be food stamps. That would be an entitlement. Or getting your utilities paid. That's an entitlement. But everything else we've already paid for. Okay, so as far as like the mortgage, when you go to court, there's a law in there that tells you how to go the process of taking your birth certificate into the clerk and have them draw it up. So it's like it's another bond that you use against your bond to pay for the court. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
Because see, we were never supposed to actually work. That money that went into our Social Security account when we were born, we were supposed to get access to 21. I think it was in 1914, something like that. They created this law to put the money into it. So we would have this money to start out our life after we got out of school. Well, 21 years later, most everybody knew about it's dead. And the ones who did know about, meaning the politicians, well, they found out that come during the wartime, every person who died, the government made millions because they collected the money and not the survivors.
Oh.
That's the reason why we've been in a perpetual war forever. Because every person who gets died, like if I was over there with this in my account, they would get that $730 million.
So it's kind of, yeah, so it sounds, that's what I mean. It sounds like that's what almost like an insurance policy does. If
That's
you die,
trust. Is that that's what he's talking about? Is that something like, is he talking about, Brian?
No, it's a bond.
Oh, okay.
It's a bond, not an insurance policy. Insurance policy you pay for. A bond. See, when you go look at that calculator, I'll tell you what it says, but there are two different things on it. One is the principal, one's the interest. You're not entitled to the principal because you didn't start it, but you're entitled to the interest. And the interest on the principal they stuck into it when I was younger is $730 million. So that's another story. We can get down that later. But so unless you get yourself in a bind and everything, we can talk about everything. Any other questions? Don't be shy.
There's a lot of information we're processing.
Yeah, that's I'm trying to be like a sponge, trying to suck it all in here.
Well, that's why I'm not trying to give you too much because it is a lot. So basically, It's very simple. The first thing you gotta do is your petition. Once you get your petition, that's a get out of jail free card for any mistakes that you may have caused. And this is for anyone, because see, IRS can go back 3 years for no reason at all, because they want to. And if they deem they need to go back further, they can go back 7 years. And if they think that they can get you, they can go back indefinitely to the very first time you did it, 1040. So I tell everybody to do the petition so they can't come back on you. Because in today, think about it, they hired 88,000 new IRS agents. Okay, they say they were going after anyone over 400,000, but that was a lie. They already found that was all a lie. They're going after anyone that owes anything under the 400,000, because these people are scared to death. The people at 400,000 can fight them. People under 400,000 can't fight them, because each of us would be hard pressed to have to go pay for some liar for $500 an hour to represent you. Anymore, when you walk in, it's 10 grand before he even starts talking to you.
Yeah.
Chang, chang, chang.
Yeah.
It's a racket.
Yes. So that's the reason why they hired all those people to go after people like us, the ones under 400,000.
And it's 11 million of us.
There's probably more. Because every time the government says something, it's always a lot lower than what it is. Any other questions? So anytime you get anything from a lawyer, right, they want you to answer it. This is how crafty the courts are. Or I should say how criminal the courts are. They say that a complaint comes to you and you have 28 to 30 days to answer the complaint. But in the court, the rule in court is whoever brings controversy in the court, meaning an argument, loses. So if you get this complaint and you answer it other than, yes, I did it, yes, I did it, yes, I did it, then you have a chance to maybe be able to talk to them. But as soon as you complain about one thing, that's controversy, so you've already lost. Isn't that a nice court you have to go to? That's so screwed up. So when you answer a court or a lawyer, you enter it in a conditional acceptance. And what that means, I conditionally accept your offer. I agree to everything you said, providing you answer the following questions. And then you take all his questions and you turn them around on him. Now he'll have to answer your questions before you go to court. And if you ever have something like that, just holler and I'll show you how to really stick it to them. For example, is the first time Trump ran for office, there was a guy named Metaphor got arrested for FARA, Foreign Agent Registry Act, and he went to prison. Did you know that every lawyer and judge and clerk and dog catcher and president is a foreign agent? Because they're located in District of Columbia. And they got to register at the Attorney General's office, and failure to do so is a crime. So that's the first thing you ask the liar. Have you signed up for FARA yet? And of course he hasn't. So that at that point, he has no standing in court. He can't be there because he's a felon. Crazy, isn't it? They make these laws up against themselves.
Mm.
Yeah, crazy. Any other questions?
To think of.
You'll think of 1,000 of them when you hang up.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, that's okay. At that point, write them down because we'll be back. I think it's Tuesday, right, Bert?
No, Monday.
Oh, Monday. Sorry. That was a day off. Day off. So just write everything down and then we'll go over it again.
Okay.
And the whole point is remember, you're not a person. If you go to court, here's another thing that gets you. In this country, the 13th Amendment, oh, this is not 13th. I think it maybe it's, yeah, the 13th Amendment, where they say abolishes slavery, but it also used to have in there that there is no title of nobility in this country. Okay, so that's an English title. You know, an esquire is a title of nobility. So by them using esquire, they're breaking the Constitution. But when you go to court, they say, "Hey, Mr. Jones." And if you answer to "Hey, Mr. Jones," the word "Mr." is a title in the British Navy. That is a title of nobility. And when you go into court, they have that gold fringe flag, which is a maritime flag. So it's a court of the sea. And when you answer to Mr., you're just went underneath their jurisdiction.
So how do you get around that?
That's when you go to court, depending upon what you're going in for, right? You just say, "Hey, I got a few questions. Ask this liar over here first." And the first question you ask that liar, say, "Hey, man, do you have a contract with your client, the petitioner, which is 99% a artificial entity, right?" And you tell him to produce his contract to show you that he is standing in court. And the last time I seen an artificial entity, an LLC or corporation, had no arms or a mouth or a body. So he has no contract with that petitioner, his client. And without a contract, he has no standing in court. That's one of the ways you can get right out of court because he can't produce a. Go ahead.
No, my fault.
Oh. Any other questions?
Not here.
That's it?
That's it for me.
Yeah, that's it.
So Monday?
I have one.
Go
I
ahead.
have one. By forfeiting or deciding that you're not going to be in alignment with the government as far as paying taxes, are you forfeiting any other benefits? Like, for instance, there are Social Security benefits that you get at retirement age and different things of that nature. Does it cut into any of that or turn any of that off as a result of taking this
No, I
angle?
still get my Social Security, I get my disability, and I get Medicare because I paid for all those. Do you not pay for those every week that you've been paying?
So, and that's the thing that strikes me as different, because if you're saying that you're electing not to pay, but now you're making reference to haven't you paid it?
Because nobody in here is young enough to just start paying. So if, let's say, for example, if you were 18 years old and you did the revocation and everything else, right? When you got to that age, no, you wouldn't be able to collect Social Security unless you asked Uncle Brian. And then Uncle Brian would say, we'll call him up and ask him how much you have to have in your account to draw maximum. And if they said, well, they said that I need $80,000 to draw maximum, which is almost $5,000 a month. And if you had this $80,000, you give it to Social Security, and the next month you start drawing $5,000 back. Because the way it's written, they go the 30 years and they take so many out of that and figure out your amount you're getting. And you can put in it anytime you want. How many people you know that drawing Social Security and go work for Walmart or something, and next year they start getting a little extra money because they had to pay taxes on the money they were getting at Walmart for Social Security. So you can put any amount of money you want into Social Security anytime you want. Well, you could only put up to a certain amount. And I think right now it's 170,000. You can put 15% of 170,000, something like that, into your account. But see, Social Security is not federal income tax. You have to do a different form to opt out of Social Security and Medicare, because those are actually different laws that are required for you to do, but they're also voluntary. So the thing is if you want to opt out of all of them, you have to do 3 different things to opt out of all of them. The revocation of election is only for federal income tax. So if you are working someplace and opt out during a revocation and you're still working somewhere, they're still going to take out the 7.5% for your Social Security on what you're making, and they match 7.5%. That make any sense to you?
Still processing, but you answered my question.
Yeah, see, it's all just a game, and you just have to learn how to play the game. This is federal income tax we're talking about. This is opting out of that. When you still working, they're going to take out Social Security. Just like there's somebody with 1099. When you do a 1099, they're wanting you also to pay your own Social Security tax. And they want you to pay Medicare tax on your income that you're saying it's federal. Okay, so those people, once you do this, right, you just saved all that money also. But if you choose to keep into Social Security, you can still be making a monthly payment to Social Security if you want. But the average Joe who works for somebody has to fill out documents to get out. But a 1099, they don't take out any taxes. You're responsible. But a non-resident alien, when you change your political status, you turn into a non-resident alien. And then a self-employed non-resident alien creates no tax event unless you're getting money from the government or the corporation.
Do you forfeit anything? Do you wind up forfeiting voting as a non-resident alien?
Voting?
Yes.
Like for what? Local?
Elections. Mm-hmm.
You mean for, well, yes, you can't be a national and be in their corporation. Okay. And as you can see that the elections are kind of strange in themselves. So they're easy enough to change, even though some people don't say so, but I don't trust elections anyway. And anyway, if you're voting for the president, your vote means absolutely nothing as the popular vote. It is just the college electoral votes that count. The college electoral votes were created after the 6th election, from the very first of the 6 elections. And that's because the country was so big, they said we're going to do these college electoral votes for certain areas. And it was written, the law was written where it says if you were the college person for this particular area, once they did all their voting in that particular area, you were to vote whatever your majority was in your area, no matter what it was, if Democrat or Republican or independent. You had to vote for what your people said. And then shortly after that, they made the law stating that the college electoral vote people, whoever they may be, have the right to vote for whomever they choose. So let's say, for example, you're over Miami and there's 6 million people there and they all voted for Democrat, we'll say. And you don't like Democrats, you can vote for a Republic. And all those 6 million people who voted for a Democrat now become Republic. That's called the college electoral votes. And you have to have the majority of the college electoral votes to become president of the United States. Isn't that kind of a racket?
So just to re-ask my question for clarity, are you saying that once I follow these action steps, as you mentioned, I no longer have a right to vote?
Because
Going
you're
to the poll and casting a vote, just me, the individual. I understand the electorals, but are you saying that, and I understand what you mean by based upon what the majority decides and those number of electoral votes for that area, that region turns into 7 or 5 or 2140, whatever, towards the presidency. Are you saying that I'm excluded from the right to go in and cast a vote as an individual?
do you have a corporation? Or LLC or anything?
I do.
Okay, now let me explain something to you. Do I have the right to come into your corporation and make any demands on voting?
Brian, honestly, I'm only asking a question. I don't want to go
understand.
through a
No.
series like this because if you answer my question, I understand better than for you to take me through this process to gain an answer.
Okay.
My answer is just strictly yes or no. Am I asking a question that now I am no longer able to go in and cast a vote? You're going to explain why, but I just want to know the yes or no part of that.
No, you can't vote
Okay. Thank
because
you.
you're no longer part of their corporation.
Okay. And I get where you're going. If I'm saying that I'm no longer part of the corporation, how can I go into another organization or corporation and make decisions that has nothing to do with me at that point?
Correct.
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. And as you answer my question, I love the fact that you give the additional information,
No
but
worries.
not so much information without answering the yes or no question first, and then explaining the why behind what I'm asking helps clear it up for me. So
Okay,
thank
no
you.
worries. No
Thank
worries. But no, once you opt out, you're leaving the corporation. You're not entitled to the things they say you are, which is voting for the president or Congress or anybody else, because that's their corporation now, not yours. To be part of their corporation, they want you to pay in federal income tax. And again, the question is this: everybody, how much federal income did you make last year? Meaning is how much money did you make from the federal government? 99% of us make zero. And Social Security is not considered federal government because remember, you pay for that. Neither is disability and such. So we don't make federal income, but yet we tell them that all of the wages we made in our state, which is state income, is federal. So you just lied to them. But they like that because they get more money. Did that help out?
Yes, a lot. So as far as making federal income, you mean me directly being an employee of the federal government, where
Correct.
my check, in all caps, as you're describing, I'm receiving under quote from the federal source. Let's say I worked for Social Security as an employee, then
Right.
that makes me earn federal funds.
Correct.
And so this is the funds, that's the situation that you're talking about. But
Yes.
if I work for, let's say, a clinic that gets federally funded, but I go and do some work for them and they pay me, I'm not a federal employee. I'm
Correct.
self-employed being paid by that third party.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly right.
okay, thank you.
And we voluntarily tell them that everything we made is federal. So now we're stuck with federal income tax when we didn't make a single penny in federal income.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand the pros and cons. And I get where you're giving of your own money to a source that you're really just giving them a portion of your money that is really not due to them if you exempt yourself from their process of being a part of their organization.
Right.
But when you say that you'll be part of their organization, then you gain the ability to determine who's going to be in office. And of course, that ability is one vote when there's the electoral votes and so forth that's based upon the region. So if you got more people in your area, so when we talk about having a voice, we're saying no longer want a voice in this process of a corporation. I want to be silent and have a voice within my own quote corporation because I'm not a part of yours. I want to be alienated from that process.
Yes. So yes, you as a national, not revocation of election, that doesn't do it. As a national, when you change your political status, when you go from a U.S. citizen to a national. Otherwise, you go back to your heritage, wherever you're from, whatever that state is, because every state is actually a country. You go back to where it is. So if you're from, like I'm from Florida here, I'm a Floridian. So I go from a U.S. citizen back to Floridian. And I do not have any ties with the so-called corporation called United States. And I do not have ties to the state of Florida either. I become a citizen of the state, meaning Florida state, not state of Florida. See, it's a lot of trickery in there.
Yeah, this is information that you have to listen to multiple times to actually wrap your brain around it. And
Of course.
clearly you've been doing it for a while. I'm just, it's like a jump rope that's going on, trying to figure out where to jump in and figure out my part or if it's something that I want to participate in. And so hearing the pros and the cons help me go down that line of that decision-making process. So I get not paying, but not paying has some other lack of benefits in it as far as what's perceived. We've been so trained about this whole having a voice, making your voice count through voting and that kind of thing, that's super important. And I get the fact that it is a majority rule, but if you get to be a part of what the majority is, then that's your vote speaking for you to a certain degree. But what if everybody did this? Like you are Floridian, I too am Floridian. And so what if everybody did this?
We would go back to a republic. So we're in a democratic system now. It was supposed to be a republic, but they changed it and made it a democrat. If you ever look up democratic, the word democrat, it means mob rule. A republic means for the people. The people rule everything. And it's much, much different of a system than what we have today. Today, the Congress and Senate, they can say whatever. In their corporation, they can. They can do whatever they want. Just think about it. Like in your corporation, you can make laws. They're called bylaws, the same as theirs. You can name them anything you want. You can name it Peter, Paul, and Mary if you want. Or you could call it statute, codes, and ordinances. There is no copyright on those words. All corporations are exactly the same. They have the same exact structure. And your rules, think of it this way, your rules only apply to everybody in your corporation. Every corporation's the same. Walmart rules don't apply to you unless you work for Walmart. Well, unless you work for the government rules don't do it. But here's the catch. I don't know if you're into business, whatever, but when I walked through your door, I consented to come through your door. And with that consent, it is an unwritten law that I have to obey your bylaws. Of course, you don't want me to steal or tear the place apart or anything, but that's in every corporation. It's the same with them. Trump's a new president, but he's the president of the corporation. It's not actually called the United States anymore. It's called the White House Corporation. The United States was dissolved in 1999. You're making
And so
sense?
this is some of the changes that he's making. I don't want to make this a political conversation.
No, he didn't change it.
But well, he's taking the stance of these are the rights of the United States or the White House to do certain aspects of what we're describing from coming a part of the corporation. And so with his leadership, he's trying to lead or demand the corporation to be ruled a particular way.
Well, you're the president of your corporation. That's what you're doing, right?
Correct. It's again, see, you turn my question into a comment as opposed to answer my question. Again, I like the additional information, but it still leaves the person participating in a place of, well, I don't know what the answer to the question was. So at least answer the question first and then give the additional information. So my question, you were saying, yes, that is correct, because he is the president of the corporation.
Of the corporation. Yeah,
Yes.
right. And all these corporations, just like I just showed you, their laws, right? Which is actually bylaws. But you just seen in those laws, if you're a person, then you belong to them. If you're a citizen, you belong to them. An individual, you belong to them. They have taken and bastardized the language so badly that you don't know what you are. A mister, you belong to them. They have so many different words that you think is just natural, right? But theirs, it makes you their property. For example, when you went and registered your car, if you look on Black's Law Dictionary, the word register, it means to surrender to the sovereign. And in government, they say the state is a sovereign. So when you register your car, according to the law, you just gave it to the state. Isn't that a kick in the head?
So then it goes back to then you pay taxes on the car that you just
And
purchased
why?
and registered under the state because you're paying the state for what, quote, is yours.
No, that tag that you put on your car is a usury fee. You're paying them to use the car that you just gave them.
So then how do you operate outside of that system when they require you to have tag registration in order to drive a car?
Until you change your political status, you're stuck in that system because you already volunteered. So now we have to change that to get out of it. That's changing your political status.
So that's why you were able to hand your passport over as a means of getting out of being pulled over.
Yes, because the passport's the only type of document that you got to have in this country to travel.
And so what did you refer to yourself as, an alien, did you say?
Well, no, IRS will refer to you as a non-resident alien.
Non-resident alien.
Yeah.
Okay. Meaning that you're evading living under this, quote, government system of how they make you declare and be a part of and inclusive of, as opposed to being your own corporation. And under that, you abide by your rules and you have your documentation so that it frees you of those obligations. So if you get pulled over for no tag, when you share that information with them, it says, oh, you are an alien. You're different from us. So we have to treat you differently through this process.
Well, just IRS considers you that. The police, and when you do this, the police don't know.
They haven't been trained in that regard.
Right. So you don't argue with them. You just, whatever you want to do, let's do it. And if they say we're going to arrest you, I can show you a court case out in Colorado. A guy got arrested. He spent 19 days in jail. And when he got out, 10 months later, he was awarded $32 billion.
Oh, wow. 32 billion with a B as in boy.
Billion. Yes, billion. Because I have 24 Supreme Court rulings from all the districts around here in the United States that says that you don't have to have a tag, a pocket license, or insurance on any vehicle, including a boat, in this country, meaning America.
And this is like a anti-law class, but not in a bad way, but in a good way.
It's not anti because I'm using the law to where what it actually says, and it says it doesn't apply to us. It's trickery. And actually, they even have a law that says what they do is against the law. It's called deceptive language. United States Code 1001.
Okay.
You go to
Wow.
prison for that.
I can clearly see that it is a whole different life, but it will take some time to actually get yourself at a place where you can live as your individual corporation, apart from.
You're not going to become any corporation. You're given a corporation that all capital name, you're not part of anymore.
Correct. In order for you to live like that, you got to understand the fullness of it. Otherwise, you could very well be getting into something that you just don't know enough about. And
Mhm.
so knowing a little bit of knowledge can be more dangerous than no knowledge at all.
That's the reason why I say you have to keep coming until you feel warm and fuzzy, where you understand this, that I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt. I'm telling you, I'm showing you the law that says that they do not have the right to do this to us. You just seen a court order showing that they don't have the right.
Got it. I mean,
that's
I'm
really
not saying I got it. I'm saying thank
No,
you. I understand a little bit better.
But that's okay, because it does take a little while to do it. Because some of the things, I have stuff on my computer, and then I got a couple years ago, but I didn't know I had that gem. And then when I started looking for it, I said, oh, this is what I'm looking for. And I look at it, I said, well, I've had this for 3 years. Because, you can see the date on your files and all. And then thinking, damn, I should have used this 3 years ago.
All right.
It's just a learning curve. Everybody has it.
Oh, yeah.
But what we need to do, though, is we need to stand together, because if you look at the world as it is today in the United States, there are over 35 million laws that haven't you ever heard this? Ignorance of the law is no defense.
Correct. Yes.
So you're required by law to know those 35 million laws. Now, how's that possible?
We also hear, for the lack of knowledge, my people perish.
That's exactly right.
And so what we don't know has
Kills us.
really, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the reason why they do it. But think about this now. You remember, you didn't take an oath to the Constitution, so all their stuff doesn't apply to you unless you consent. And when you do a 1040 or you did a W-4, you're consenting. But the W-4, because the employers don't know what to do. Do you know in IRS code that you can make an agreement with an employer not to have taxes taken on you, just
Yes.
between you and your employer?
Yes.
You didn't know that?
I did. I remember when we would get bonuses, the young lady in finance would send us a form and say, hey, just for this particular pay period, if you want to not have taxes taken out, fill this out. And we would, and then we would get our full bonus. And then we go back and put the status back on so that we can go back and have things taken out the right way, so we wouldn't wind up having to pay taxes.
Right. But if taxes were mandatory, you couldn't do that, could you?
Correct.
So you see, right there, you're a fine example. That's great. You see it every time you got a bonus. That
We do it just for that time. And it was kind of like getting a hookup at work.
Right.
Hey, you want to get your full check, as opposed to, if you got $5,000 coming, with taxes, that's going to be, $3,000 or, $3,500. And so if you want your full $5,000, hey, fill this out. Hurry up and let me put it in for you, so that, when the check's cut,
Yes.
you can get the full amount.
But
and then you come back and fill it out again, and then we'll go back to taking taxes out again.
But that goes with the saying is, if taxes were mandatory, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
So you see, taxes are not mandatory. That woman just showed you they're not mandatory. You can opt in and out anytime you want.
It's true.
That's a good example. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for answering my questions.
Yeah, and always, I don't care how many times you have to ask it, because sometimes I don't see the road you're heading down, and you need an answer for that your particular road, so you have to kind of steer me over. Which is-
Correct. And we all process information differently.
Exactly.
So that's why I come back and say, answer the question, then give the additional information, because
Right.
that's how I retain it. When you answer yes or no, then I know which box to put it in my head, that this is yes or no, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, I'll try to remember that. I'll make a mental note, and I'll try to do that next time. Is, you know, if somebody asks a question, I'll answer yes or no, and then give an explanation. Okay, that works for me. I don't care. Hey, as long as it gets out there and everybody understands it, I don't care. I used to have employees, right? And I would tell them, I said, this job needs to be done. And I tell them, I said, you got this time frame to get it done. I don't care how you do it. If you want to stand on your head and do it, get it done. I don't care, as long as it got done. So I'm very easy about changing.
Thank you. They also say the teacher appears when the student is ready to learn.
I don't know. I'm too stupid for that.
Everybody on this Zoom is here because they've been in some place in life where all of a sudden now they are at a place that they can receive this kind of information, regardless of how complex it is. And so we stumbled upon this in whatever way, but it's because we're at a place that we're ready to hear something like this to kind of make a change or improve our processes.
Right.
Not saying that I'm going to jump ship today, but I'll definitely come back and listen so that I have full understanding.
And I respect that 100%.
Do you ever have any CPAs or accountants to participate in these sessions?
Who?
CPAs or accountants?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've done over 50,000 of these.
And how do the CPAs handle this? Is it usually the ones that are trying to help people get out of paying taxes,
You're
or
close, yeah. And then when we go through everything, right? They say, "Oh, holy shit!"
okay?
It goes from "I'm full of crap" to "holy crap," because when I show them all the laws, and they realize what they're doing is against the people and not for the people. But again, the CPAs and all, they're too scared to have their clients to do something because they don't want to go into IRS and have to face an audit.
Correct. I understand that. In addition, if they stop processing taxes, they no longer make money. So it's no different than the healthcare industry giving you medication to treat a symptom as opposed to curing a symptom.
You work in medical?
I do.
Yeah, I used to be a massage therapist.
Okay.
I used to do billing also. I was a provider.
Okay.
I had a big clinic and all at one time. And you're right. It's called repeat business.
Right.
And I can't buy that Ferrari if I tell you the cure.
Correct. Because you don't get a processing fee, couple thousand, couple hundred, whatever it is. And my CPA told me he makes more money off of just the regular single mom kind of working employee than he does off of corporations that he's processing taxes for. Because they do the advance checks and, there's interest on that. So he makes more money that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not what your subject is.
Well, once down the road, if you want to look at investments, I can show you some investments also that get up to 15% a year, and it's paid quarterly, and you can roll it over if you want. And it's done with the medical field, because let's say you're a doctor and you got all this billing out, but you're not getting anything in. So this company goes in and makes sure you're going to get all the money back. And let's say they owe you $500,000. Well, they're going to offer you $250,000 for that $500,000 billing. Do you want to wait for 6 months to get your money, or do you want your $250,000 now? and the doctors will take the money now.
Yeah.
And then this company gets all this money, and then they pay, it's easy enough to pay you back 15% a year, plus actually there's an also bonus on that too that we get, but that's something down the road. If you want to do something like that, I can. There's different things. I have accounts in Hong Kong that get a savings account that gives 8%.
Well, listen, I am 2 hours into this information. You said you've done over 50,000 sessions, right? So 1 or 2 hours into this information isn't enough for me to follow you completely down the pathway, but I can
Don't
definitely
do that at all. I wouldn't do that either. That's the reason I say we're going to be here. We're going to start this on a regular basis. We're going to be here Mondays and Thursdays. So that way people get questions, get your questions and come back in and stump me. Show
Okay.
me that there's something I can't give you an answer on.
Okay,
I
thank you.
look forward for it. How else do we learn?
Correct. Yes. Thank you. This has been very good educational information. I appreciate it.
We appreciate
worries.
you.
It's my pleasure.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, if you know anybody, bring them on, because the simple fact is we can ask questions and I give you answers, and I'll show you the different laws. I can show you in you're in Florida, right? In Florida, the statutes, Chapter 1, Title 1, number 3 says persons, and it says that individual, children, partnership, trust, corporations, synagogues, and all other entities, right? So when you would read that, you would think, well, an individual and children are a person. But the problem is an individual and child is living and all the other ones are dead. So you mix the two, because in Florida, under Constitution Article 3.6, it says all laws can only embrace one subject or matter. So if the subject is person, the matter has to be all persons. So in that law, because it's trickery, an individual and children are considered to be artificial. So when you look at Florida laws, when it says an individual or if it says children, they're talking about an artificial person, not you or I. It's trickery. And like I said, once we start learning this, then we can take back our countries from these people. Because they work for us. We don't work for them. Or at least I haven't got a paycheck from them yet. Any other questions?
Not for me, maybe someone else. Thank you.
No problem. So if there aren't any more questions, you can get a hold of Bert anytime. Right now I'm getting ready to move, so I'm kind of out of the sync of getting a hold of him personally. But here shortly, I'll be able to take other calls, personally. So if there isn't any more questions, we can say good night.
Thank you so much for this presentation. Very informative.
No problem.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, say
Thank you,
good night,
Tuesday.
cowboy.
Thank you for the kind words. Have your sister on next week, please.
She was trying to get in and she said she couldn't. Well, my sister and cousin are here, so
Well, that's good.
but my oldest sister, she was having difficulty getting in, so
Well, we'll be back
she
on
said,
Monday. We got the same Zoom web link and passcode.
okay, she did tell me that she spoke with you though.
Oh, she didn't? Oh, yeah. She called me the other morning.
All right.
Very excited, by the way.
Mhm.
So
All
come
right,
back
great.
with questions.
Yes.
Come back with questions. Once we do this real quick, we'll come back into it for question and answer, and we'll go. I like the battering back and forth. I like talking back and forth with each other.
Will do.
So bring in questions. So kids, I'm going to say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you all.
Thank you for stopping by.
Good
You-
night. Thank you.
Before I go, just watch out for my link on Facebook. I have them all over the place. Watch out for my link. Thank you.
Okay,
Have a great
thank you.
evening, everyone.